The government has implemented a number of response measures to COVID-19 in order to prop up the economy, and to date, it seems to be working. The share market bounced back over 30% from its lows in March, house prices seem to be holding fairly steady, and the unemployment rate for April was 6.2%, which isn't too bad considering the market expected it to be 8.3%. This all sounds pretty good, right? And it is, but I do fear the optimism is only temporary, and we're going to see the real impact on the economy when these short-term band-aid measures that have been put in place by the federal government and the banks are unwound. So let's have a look at some of these measures and what they could potentially be hiding when the policies are unwound. Hello guys, Brad here from The Guided Investor. Welcome back to the channel for another video. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button because I post regular videos about how you can do more with your money. Today we're talking about the band-aid fixes on the Australian economy, which is helping to keep things propped up in the short term. And let's kick things off with the big ones, the job seeker and the job keeper payments. I'm sure you're all familiar with the job seeker and the job keeper payments, but if you're not, here's a quick synopsis. The job seeker payments was basically the new dole, and it provides payments to those people who are out of work. The job keeper payments, on the other hand, they're payments made to eligible employers in order to keep people employed. Now, both of these payments heavily skew the unemployment figure. Like I mentioned earlier, the official unemployment rate for April is 6.2%. Now, this figure doesn't take into account those people that are underemployed, and it also doesn't take into account those people that have given up looking for work. In order to be classified as unemployed, you have to actively be seeking work. So therefore, to get a really good idea of the situation, we need to couple this figure with the participation rate. Now, at the moment, the participation rate, which basically shows us the amount of people who are actively seeking work, is currently sitting at a 15-year low, around 63.5%. I believe a large part of this is attributed to the fact that a lot of people are earning more on the job seeker payments than they did when they were working. And this can be attributed to the fact that the job seeker payments have basically been doubled since COVID-19. In addition to the people that have given up looking for work, we've also got those businesses that are retaining employees solely on the job keeper payments. So at the moment, businesses, or a lot of businesses, have had a hit to their revenue, and they're relying on those job keeper payments in order to pay their staff. But if those job keeper payments are gone, which they will go in September at this stage, then there's a chance that a lot more people are going to become unemployed. Realistically, there should be very little defaults on mortgages at the moment because lenders are currently offering repayment holidays. This gives borrowers the ability to capitalise their interest on their loan for up to 6 months, so they essentially don't make any repayments. But this measure can't last forever. By capitalising the interest, you are losing equity in your property, and lenders can't afford to let the value of the loan exceed the value of the property. So this policy needs to be wound up fairly quickly. Despite this measure, we've already seen significant hits to banks' profits due to impairment charges, and I fear this is only going to get worse when the loan holiday ends and people are forced to start making repayments again. Similar to the holiday for loan repayments, there are also some measures out there for renters as well, and this applies to both residential rent and commercial rent. So basically, you can't avoid your rent payments, but you can have part of your payments deferred, or you can have part of your payments reduced. When the rent reduction comes to an end, we could see a lot of people and a lot of businesses that are still unable to meet their rent obligations. And as a result, this could lead to higher vacancy rates. And when we have higher vacancy rates, landlords get less money, which reduces their ability to spend, and this has a trickle-on effect to the rest of the economy. Those impacted by coronavirus have the ability to access $10,000 from their superannuation this financial year and another $10,000 from their super next financial year, and the uptake in this has exploded. To date, 1.35 million applications for early release have been approved, and this has led to over $11 billion being taken out of super. The average amount that's been taken out is around $8,000, and this would likely be higher, but statistics show there's a lot of young people taking out 100% of their balance. Luckily though, the money withdrawn has been put to good use. Oh wait, no it isn't. Studies show that over 64% of the money that's been taken out of superannuation is being spent on consumables. Gambling, alcohol, food, clothes, online shopping, that kind of thing. The ability to take money out of superannuation is contributing to retail spending, which is actually pretty good for the economy. But the problem is, again, this is a temporary fix. People can't continually take money out of their superannuation, so unless jobs pick up to support retail spending, then we're likely to see a drop again in the amount that people spend. Basically, it all means that we're not out of the woods yet. Yes, shops, cafes, restaurants, gyms, they're all starting to open again, which is great. It's a step in the right direction, but there are still a lot of challenges that we're left to face. Philip Lowe, who is the head of the Reserve Bank, said in a recent press conference that he fears a critical point is coming in September, when all of these support measures stop. And I do fear he's right. Also, this is not a problem that's isolated to Australia. This is a global pandemic, and when you consider the size of the Australian economy to the rest of the world, we're really small. And basically, whatever happens in the rest of the world is going to impact us, particularly what happens in the US. The US is now the epicenter of COVID-19, and at the time of putting this together, there was roughly 1.9 million cases of COVID-19 in the US with over 108,000 deaths. The unemployment rate had skyrocketed to over 23 million people without jobs. Now these figures are scary and they can't be ignored. So I believe that we will continue to see volatility in markets and asset prices moving forward. However, not all is doom and gloom. I do believe that Scott Morrison and the federal government will continue with the support measures for the Australian economy until we can once again stand on our own 2 feet. We've already heard about talks of a job maker policy in the works, and we've already had the Home Builder grant recently announced, which is basically stimulus in the construction industry. In the short term, I remain cautious. I'll continue to hold existing growth holdings, but I will accrue new cash through dividends, contributions, and deposits. Even though I believe that markets are currently overvalued and I do anticipate a pullback, I also understand that markets are not necessarily linked to economic activity. Markets have a mind of their own, and particularly in very low interest rates like this, it's very hard to predict. Should the market continue to rally with no real improvement in economic conditions, then I may look to reduce growth holdings by up to 10%. I will never be so bold as to go all in or all out of the market because it's just too hard to predict. If we do get a pullback in the market, then I'm going to deploy some of that newly accrued cash. If it's a significant pullback in the market, then I'm going to look to convert some of the defensive holdings like bonds into growth holdings. In summary, the support measures put in place by banks and federal governments aren't stimulus, they are a band-aid fix. And it's not until we remove the band-aid and actually see the wound that we're really going to understand how bad the impact of COVID-19 has been on the economy. But that's it for me today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one.